The books that I wanted to share are actually all books that are beneficial to anybody. You don't need to be a nonfiction writer or a fiction writer or a poet or another kind of writer to benefit from these. These are really very generic books. So the first book that I want to talk about is On Writing by Stephen King, and a lot of people know about this book, obviously because it is a Stephen King book. It is one of his only books that is a memoir of sorts. It's really an autobiography where he does discuss how he got into writing, how he started his methods of writing, his experience with the publishing industry, how he got into it, when he got big. I do believe he goes into the whole Richard Bachman thing, which is actually a pretty amusing story. You should look that up. Stephen King is, I mean, I think he's an acquired taste for a lot of people. I've met just as many people who don't like Stephen King as people that like Stephen King. One of the things that I really appreciate about his writing is that he spends so much energy putting such depth into his characters and into their thoughts. And when you're reading a book, when you read a book, it's this one channel of one person, and in his books, it's everything around them. It's every character around them. He has such intricate books with such developed characters and developed plots that it really just buries you in the book, and that's, I think, why I like his writing so much. But I know some people aren't too open to his language, and he does cuss a lot in his books, and I love that, actually, because I think that's not necessarily an ideal of their characters. I think it's an ideal of him. He cusses a lot, and he does that in all of his books, and I really think that's actually him speaking to the reader. And he does little things in his books where he puts like one character from one book and he puts it in another, and unless you've read all his books, you don't pick these things up. And just if you're looking for a book from someone who was successful in the craft, I do recommend this. Do have a good sense of humor, and do not expect to not be blundered with foul language, because you will be. So this next book that I want to show you is actually a book on the Kindle, and it isn't available in hard copy, but you don't have to have a Kindle to be able to read it. If you have an iPhone or any smartphone or a tablet or a computer, really, a PC or a Mac, you can download a free Kindle app, and it's 99 cents. It's a book for 99 cents, and you can read it. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you are somehow able to download the Kindle app. And it's by Chuck Wendig. It's called 250 Things You Should Know About Writing. And this is the cover that I have for my Kindle. It's kind of loud, but I'm hoping that you can see that. But this book is hands down one of the funniest books I have ever read, and I really appreciate that he puts such humor to talk about such a serious subject, because they're really tips of the trade, and they're tips to keep you going, and he's very honest about things. Finish what you start. It's not easy to get published. The publishing industry isn't for everybody. You've got to have a thick skin. Be under the writers. Be open to criticism. Don't be a jerk about it. Just a lot of the things that he says are they're very funny, but they're very true. And you could easily read this in an hour. It's pretty short. But I wanted to read a couple of the clips that he has in here, just so that you could get an idea of his humor and the things that he talks about. Your basics. Mix up lose and loose, there, and there. Don't know where to plop a comma, how to use quotation marks. That's like trying to be a world-class chef, but you don't know how to cook a goddamn egg. Writing is mechanical work, is a mechanical act first and foremost. And then he goes on about famous people being born overnight. Writers are not made overnight. They are forged, really, in a kiln of their own madness and insecurities over the course of many, many moons. The writer that you are when you began is not the writer that you are. It's not the writer that you become. Writing is the act of creation. Put words on a page, words to sentences, sentences to paragraphs, paragraphs to a 7-book epic fantasy cycle, with books so heavy you could choke a hippo. He is just such a talented writer. He's very funny. But he does give you tips of the trade, and it's really kind of an encouraging book to read, because he's very honest. Good. He doesn't sugarcoat anything for you. If you need to know anything about writing, he's going to tell you, and he's going to be honest. And he has a very lighthearted humor to it, which I think helps a lot. It's on my way to me in the mail because I lost my copy. But I highly suggest this book, because I know as writers, any kind of artist, a musician, artist, writer, you get your muse or your inspiration from random things, from life events, from just anything you see on the street. Anything could spark this. But I mean, I've been in moods where all I want to do is write, and I sit down in front of typewriter, the computer, or piece of paper and the pen, and I can't think of anything to write about. My thoughts they're all over my head, and I can't pinpoint something to write about. And this book has prompts for you to write with, which I was kind of like, you know, but it really does help. And if you're just really stuck, and you have writer's block, you know, as they call it, and you can't really think of anything to write, just start a prompt, even about something that is completely, I mean, something you would never even write about, and just start writing. It will come, and it'll catch on, and then you'll be, and like once it catches on, your voice kicks in, and it just helps so much. Just something to get you over that hump. I highly suggest it. Even if you're trying to keep a healthy habit of writing and writing every day, you can just do a prompt a day, and just really keep in the healthy habit of writing, because the more that you write, the better that you'll get. And this book really helps with that. I do highly suggest it. And there are times where I've done prompts, and the prompts have turned into stories that I kept, and stories that I actually really liked. So I do suggest that book very much. The next two books I have are more technical books, and I'm going to sound like your high school English teacher when I say this, but this is my fourth book. William Shrunk Jr. and E.B. White. This is my fourth book, The Elements of Style, and I cannot even tell you, look how thin this book is. This is a 100-page book, and anything that you ever needed to know about grammar or word placement or anything is in this book. And it's so tiny, there's no excuse to not have read it and not have known this like your Bible. No matter what kind of writer you are, this book will never be out of style, so to speak. And I'm pretty sure that they actually update this like every year or every couple of years, so it's always up to date. It's always current. But again, this is like a staple piece that every writer should have, regardless of what genre of writing you concentrate on. This book is a staple piece. You can't go wrong with this book. This is the very general one. It's the Writer's Market. I did get the deluxe edition, because it comes with an online subscription. It comes with an online subscription. I suggest only if you are interested in being published, because the publishing industry is very specific and tedious. And aside from getting published in, you know, small, if you're a poet, small little query places, it's still good to be professional and to present your work in a professional manner so that they can take you seriously about what you're passionate about. And this book teaches you how to send query letters, how to inquire about manuscript submissions, poetry, what do you call it? Scripts for movies, nonfiction, textbooks, any kind of writing. The Writer's Market covers. They do have specific writers' markets. They have like the Poets Market, the nonfiction Writer's Market, the fiction. I think they have one for children's books. They have, I mean, a lot of genres that are very specific to the needs of that type of genre. I do get this one because I actually dabble in a lot of different types of writing. Fiction, memoir, poetry. I don't do children's books at all. But this is a very good piece if you want to be taken seriously, and if you, not so much taken seriously, if you want to be published and taken seriously by the publisher, this is a how-to book on step-by-step what to do, how to do it. And it not only does it do that, but it actually gives you what publishers will do for any type of genre of writing is they'll have these contests, or they'll have magazines or places that are looking for submissions for that following year, and they'll submit it here. So this book is this big, and almost all of this book is people wanting writers to submit their work. So if you're looking for a place to submit your work, this covers absolutely every genre. Submit your work to, you know, hundreds of people, and they come out with this every year. So I do highly suggest this. Publishers will swear by this book. Other writers swear by this book. There's a lot of, I mean, there are magazines in here that you've probably never even heard of. Tons that I've never heard of. And they're all looking for work. So that is a really, really good place to start if you're looking to get published and you're not sure where to go or what to do. That is a very good book to guide you. So that pretty much sums up the 5 books I think every writer should read about writing. And that's about it.